In the far northeast corner of Lawrence County, Indiana, is a small town called Bartlettsville. I never lived there. I never went to school there. I didn't grow up there, ride my bike along those country roads, or date young girls I met at Heltonville High School. And yet, it's home to me. It's home to me because 3 people I love the most in this world, my grandpa, grandma, and dad, they all lived there. I remember the smell of pumpkin pies in the oven, tall glass Coke bottles, fried potatoes, candied yams, and laughter around the table. Lots of laughter and happiness. The town of Bartlettsville was actually created by my great-great-great-grandfather, Samuel Bartlett, a former Civil War captain. He started a farm, a post office, and a large family with his wife Martha. One day, he simply decided to leave his family and move to Fredonia, Kansas, with another woman, leaving Martha to raise the family by herself. Martha and her large family survived by being great farmers. Through tough times, they thrived with a sense of humor, a hallmark of all Bartletts and Turpins to this day. Her son, Fred Bartlett, was my great-great-grandpa. His daughter Lula married my great-grandpa, Grover Turpin, and they lived just around the corner from the Bartlettsville Christian Church. In fact, all my family, for generations, went to the Bartlettsville Christian Church. My grandma Turpin even played organ there for a time. But the memories and stories most dear to me were all about my grandma and grandpa's house just around the corner and down the hill from the church. Together, they had a restaurant, gas station, and then a general store. People would drive all the way out to Bartlettsville just to get my grandma's tenderloins. During hard times, people would write my grandpa IOUs so they could buy groceries and feed their families. When Grandpa died, we found an entire barrel of IOUs that were unpaid. And more than likely, he knew that when he let them write them. That was the kind of man my grandpa was. But what he liked more than anything was to talk, and that little store provided a place for people to stop and do just that. Being so close to Lake Monroe, I'm sure there were more than a few fish stories to be told. But that was what made life worth living. Grandpa also worked in the quarry, as did my great-grandpa Grover. Times were so hard during the Depression that men would stand around the top of the quarry waiting for someone to get hurt or even killed so they could get a job. It was nothing personal, you just did what you needed to do for your family. Today, I still have my grandpa's quarry helmet to remind myself of the sacrifices and hard work that came before me. During World War II, Grandpa worked at Fabricast, where he helped make the Allison V-12 engines. It was called the engine that won the war, put in P-38 fighter airplanes by the hundreds. Ironically, I would work at Allison Engine Company in Indianapolis about 50 years later. But life was more than work. It was good food, washing the car in the driveway, and being with the family you loved. And family is what makes Bartlettsville home to me. Across from the church was Tabby Smith's restaurant called Maxine's. She was born Maxine Bartlett and was related to my grandparents. My grandma cooked in the restaurant for a time before starting her own restaurant. I remember how we'd drive by Maxine's and old men would be sitting in front, talking the afternoon away. Today, not much is left but memories. But around the corner and down the hill is where my grandparents and dad lived. My grandparents' store is now a garage, and the house looks nothing like it used to. The driveway where I found ancient plant fossils and geodes has long since grown over. Some say life goes on, and the people I loved are no longer there. But they are. In my memories, they'll always be there. And behind the church, at the top of the hill, their bodies rest. Great-great-great-grandma Bartlett no longer has to worry about the crops in her fields. Nor my great-great-grandpa Fred, or my great-grandparents Lula and Grover. Grandma and Grandpa Turpin don't have meals to fix, grass to cut, or bills to pay. And my mom and dad, they'll never worry about where this world is going or if they did a good job raising their kids. I often drive over an hour just to walk on this holy ground, stopping in front of my family's monuments, and I say, I'm home. I don't know if a single soul can hear me when I talk about what's going on in my life, my dreams, my failures, and how I painfully miss them. I can't help but cry when I wonder if I've lived up to the high standards they gave me. But I promise again that I will do all that I can to make them proud. And I leave, promising to be back again. Someday I will lay among them, looking up to the clouds by day and the stars by night. Someday I will join the history of this place in so many stories. And then, and only then, will I truly be home.